This is the World Organic News for the week ending 14th of August 2017. John Moore reporting. This week, from thistles to a veggie garden. When we moved into our current home located on 5 easy care acres, we were confronted with 2.4 metre high thistles. That first spring I spent weeks with a shovel and hoe breaking up the taproots of the thistles while I was still in the rosette stage. I considered the thistles were the problem, and as taproots were vital to their survival, I would kill the plants before they were able to produce seed. A month later I realised that the remainder of the taproots had just thrown up more rosettes. The following year, after reading an article on tumbleweeds in Scientific America, I decided that it would be best to allow the plants to grow almost to maturity, and then attempt to destroy them before their seed matured, thereby rendering the seed useless. I held my nerve while all about were spraying, and took to the thistles with a lawnmower as soon as I noticed the first seed heads starting to turn purple, an indication of the seed maturation process, and it worked. I achieved a 95% kill rate, and I followed this up over the next 2 springs with good effect. An added bonus from allowing the thistles to grow on was that they opened up the soil compacted by about 120 years of overgrazing and poor soil management. This resulted in greater pasture growth, and the eco-niche for the thistles, compacted bare soil, was removed from the system. It was while thinking about this that I realised that the thistles were not the problem but the symptom. The processes needed for weed control have since become more obvious and no longer the problem they once were, in my mind anyway. I was converted to the idea of making everything work for the soil. No longer a sheep left in a paddock with collapsing feed, even if the next paddock has only minimally more feed. I move them on then back again, and so on. This allows the pastures to recover enough to maintain the vital soil cover. In a drought, I can see that we will have to destock completely or buy in feed and house the stock to protect the soil. We've been better able to ride out the dry periods than many of our neighbours who have been forced to utilise feed along the roadsides, buy in feed, or worst of all, just keep on grazing, running down both stock and soil condition. We have, in fact, developed a soil ethic. In a suburban situation, the application of the same principle of soil health first can be applied to producing, from the acres of lawns, vast tracts of healthy food-producing soil, while reducing water use and, more importantly, chemical and fuel consumption. While we remain a highly urbanised society, and I cannot see this changing, we will continue to chew through large amounts of fuel and chemicals on lawns. How often have we had to listen to complaints concerning lost weekends because of the garden, when really people are complaining about lawn mowing? Converting a lawn to a garden will not only reduce our national fuel consumption, but will provide anything from a few tomatoes to up to 100% of our household fruit and vegetable needs, with more job satisfaction than pushing the mower over the lawn, chafing under the knowledge that we'll be able to do exactly the same thing next weekend. We have reached the lawn level of soil health in our garden areas around home. Gone are the thistles, and in their place is pasture, self-seeded from the hay we spread over the mown thistles. Our problem then is converting a young lawn into productive gardens. We have come up with 4 possible solutions. We can do nothing and continue to mow. This is less than ideal and ethically bankrupt. The second follows the thoughts of John Seymour and involves double digging the lawns and converting them into traditional organic gardens. A lot of labour involved in this solution. Solution 3 is inspired by Esther Dean and Bill Mollison and involves the creation of raised beds composed of the following layers: newspapers, loosened hay, oaten hay or straw, and into this brew are planted our veggies, trees and flowers, surrounded by a handful of compost to get them started. Eventually mulch will be converted into compost itself, and we will have to top up the mulch every year. This has possibilities. I could still mow between the beds using a push mower. We can spot snakes and reduce the lawn area and not bend as far to tend the gardens. The fourth solution is based on the ideas of Masanobu Fukuoka of the One Straw Revolution fame. The people before us had installed an above-ground swimming pool for the 2 days a year we experienced summer on the Monero. This had rotted and collapsed some time before we moved in, leaving a circular bed with handmade brick edging, sandy topsoil, and the local clay soil as a pan underneath. I decided to trial white clover on this circle, and it established itself quickly, leaving us with a small but very attractive clover circle. Fukuoka grows rice and barley in continuous succession in fields of white clover. The barley is broadcast just before the rice is ready for harvest, and vice versa for the rice sowing. No digging, and the clover suppresses most weeds. Into my little circle, I broadcast cucurbit seeds for the summer. Within 2 days, the seeds were starting to swell and bury themselves. So of the 4 possible solutions, we'll be attempting the latter 2. Raised beds seem to offer the best hope for harmony of time and effort for reward. Converting the whole garden to white clover seems too much work at this stage, but may be worthwhile if the returns are good. Alternatively, I may just broadcast clover seed over the raised beds and obtain the best of both worlds. The importance of this hands-on decision-making at the grassroots level is that we have a stake in the future health of our own soil. We experience and develop a soil ethic at its most fundamental level. Poor soil management, bare and compacted soils, encourage weeds. Good soil management reduces the number of weeds, and real food, is returned to those who love their soil. The fruits of your soil and your own labours taste much better anyway. So, go to it. Sell a lawnmower now, before the value of those things collapses, as everywhere across the continent, lawns are converted to grasses, drudgery replaced by enjoyment, and destruction displaced by growth. Thanks for listening. If you have any comments, criticisms, or suggestions for the blog or podcast, please let me know at podcast@worldorganicnews.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back in a week.